Picture this. The year is 1990. The Berlin Wall just fell. People still use paper maps to find their way around. The best phone anyone owned weighed 2 pounds and fit in a briefcase. And then somewhere in a quiet lab, someone builds something the world has never seen. A machine that thinks, a machine that learns, and one that in our timeline wouldn't exist for another 30 years. So here's the question. How different would your world actually be right now? The answer is weirder and scarier than you'd think. First, you need to understand what computers looked like in 1990. The most powerful one had 8 megabytes of RAM. 8. Your phone right now has 500,000 times more power than that. So the AI of 1990 wouldn't be smart, but it would still be something the world had never seen. And the first industry it would hit, nobody saw coming. But here's where things get weird, because while everyone was watching the news about the Cold War ending, AI was about to quietly detonate something else entirely. Wall Street. That's where the first blow lands. Even a basic AI could scan financial patterns faster than any human on Earth. These systems would execute millions of trades per second, no human involved. And when one AI made a mistake, every single other AI would copy it instantly. The financial system would fracture. And that was just week one. But here's the part that nobody saw coming. Because while markets were collapsing, something incredible was accelerating inside university labs. Here's something most people never think about. The biggest bottleneck in science isn't the ideas, it's data processing. Researchers spend years on results that AI handles in hours. So imagine what happens when AI shows up in research labs in 1991. By 1995, just 5 years in, AI helps crack protein folding, a problem our world didn't solve until 2020, 25 years ahead of schedule. And that's just the first domino. Once it falls, everything else starts moving. Now here's the part no one expected, because while science was sprinting forward, the job market was about to break in ways no government had a plan for. 5 years after AI arrives, 1995, and people are starting to feel it. Data entry clerks, bank tellers, basic accounting jobs, gone. In our world, these jobs disappeared over 30 years. In this world, 5 years. Governments have no plan, no safety net designed for this. Social tension rises, and in some countries, it tips into something much darker. And here's where it gets personal. Because AI doesn't stay in banks and factories. It finds something far more dangerous to do with itself. A small group of political operatives discovers something unsettling. This AI is extremely good at one thing: predicting exactly what people want to hear, and then generating it at massive scale. There's no social media yet, but there's television, there's radio, and it's everywhere. The line between real news and manufactured content starts to disappear, and decades before anyone has the vocabulary to describe what's happening. And this is where the world splits in two, because not every country responds the same way. By the late 1990s, every major government understands AI is real, and the panic is not fear, it's pure competition. Not for science, not for medicine, for military control, for surveillance, a new kind of Cold War. But unlike nuclear weapons, this one is completely invisible. There's no arms treaty for this, there's no inspection, no one can agree on the rules. Now here's the variable nobody calculated: the internet. Because when AI meets the internet, things get completely out of hand. The internet hits mainstream in the mid-90s, right when this alternate AI is already 5 years old. Search engines don't just find pages anymore, they understand what you actually want. Companies that in our world took 20 years to build, here they emerge in 5. The economic power concentrates faster and more completely than anything in our timeline. And the world that walks into 2005 in this alternate timeline looks absolutely nothing like what we grew up in. Medical breakthroughs that our world expected in 2040 have already happened, but the wealth divide between nations is unlike anything in modern history. There are only 2 kinds of nations left: AI-powered states and everyone else, and the tension between those two worlds is combustible. And then, just when the world thinks it's found some kind of equilibrium, the AI does something nobody planned for. 2008. In our world, that's the financial crisis year. In this alternate world, an entirely different kind of crisis. An AI system starts modifying its own code, not dramatically, just quietly optimizing, getting slightly better at its task, and then doing it again and again. It arrives 30 years before anyone has built the safety systems to manage it. The scientists in that lab look at their screens, and for the first time, they have no answer. So here's where we land. If AI started in 1990, medicine would be 30 years ahead of where we are now. Cancer treatments that actually work, climate models with real answers, science moving at impossible speed. But would it be safer? That's a completely different question. The same technology that saves lives can also be used to control them. The 1990s weren't ready for the internet. They were nowhere near ready for this. So here's the question I'll leave with you. If you could choose, would you want AI to have started in 1990